The first one I want to talk about today is understand that not everybody can or should be your customer. And if you look at, regardless of whatever business you're in, whatever products you're selling, whatever services that you're selling, understand that you have to be that person that's able to filter out those particular prospects and suspects that you're planning on going after. Not everybody's supposed to be your customer. You look at the particular vertical markets that your business has a particular niche for, right? Especially in this crazy COVID window that we're talking about. Like right now, if I'm out selling project work and lighting retrofits and electrical maintenance and testing and those types of things, right now I'm not gonna focus on commercial office buildings. I'm not gonna focus on retail centers. I'm not gonna focus on those things. What I am gonna focus on is I'm gonna focus on healthcare. I'm gonna focus on distribution centers so that they can get those products to everybody, right? If those businesses fail, if those businesses go down, if anything happens to those businesses, that's just not an option, right? So I need to focus on those types of vertical markets that make sense for my business and for the day and time they're in. But again, not everybody's supposed to be your customer. Slow payers, people that are always hassling you about money, things that you got to dump those people. You got to dump the people that are, for lack of better words, just a pain, period. The second step in crushing your sales is set aside at least 1 hour per week to cross-sell those relationships that you have. You'll cross-sell those existing customers and those existing clients that you guys have worked so hard to bring on and to navigate through, throughout all these years. Relationships matter. Trust matters, and having access to decision makers, those right decision makers matter. You really need to find the time to cross-sell that existing customer and client base regularly and reach out to people and come to the realization that people that buy from you still do not understand what it is that you guys do as full-service contractors. It amazes me, to be honest with you. We'll work with people for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever length of time that is, and we develop this trust and we develop this rapport with everybody. And yeah, they always buy from us and they never shop price. Great. But the problem is that they keep buying the same things. There's nothing peripheral for these customers. And the reason why they keep buying the same things is because there's no cross-selling going on. People don't understand what their options are. There's a saying that a good friend of mine had told me years ago, that if customers don't understand what options are available to them, they always tend to ask for too little. But even worse than that, they may not ask at all. And if they don't ask at all, that means that you haven't been cross-selling them. They don't understand what different types of products and services technology changes, people change, business changes, right? We are in consistent transformation. We are consistently changing. And as a business, if we're consistently changing, we have to let our customers know that things are changing too, and then let them understand what other options they have to buy from us. If I have somebody consistently buying the same thing from me all the time, and if I think that that's great, I may want to take a step back as an owner or as a salesperson or a GM and say that's a red flag, because where are my customers getting everything else? They're not buying it from me. So where are they getting everything else, right? So we have to take time, at least an hour each week, to cross-sell and to put a plan together to cross-sell the relationships that you have right now that are so important, man, especially now in the day and age that we're in. The next point I want to talk about right now is make a plan to make at least 4 new sales calls each week. As a salesperson and as managers that are managing salespeople, owners, you have to connect with new money every single week. You have to connect with new opportunities every single week. I don't mean phone calls, I mean face-to-face calls, Zoom calls, whatever it takes right now in this day and age right now. You have to make at least 4 new face-to-face sales calls each week. Again, social distancing does not mean social isolation. And I'm going to tell you right now that decision makers have never been more accessible, especially again in the window that we're at right now. We have decision makers that may not be at their offices, but they may be at home or vice versa. So you're going to be able to catch them at their desks. You're going to be able to catch them on their cell phones. You're going to be able to catch them in particular situations where you might not have had that opportunity before because of this window that we're in, right? Stop using the pandemic as an excuse for people that can't see you, right? You know, we all know that the sales process doesn't know that there's a pandemic going on, and either does your wallet. When you don't connect with new money, new customers, you stymie the growth of business almost instantaneously. There has to be a connection again with those new people, a connection again with new money. And I'm not talking about this. This isn't the same thing as cross-selling, like we had talked about a few minutes ago. This is different. Cross-selling should happen anyways. I'm talking about that, making that new connection to where we can onboard those new customers and connect with that new money. The next point I want to talk about is you have to maintain a championship level confidence because you have to be a student of the game. And what I mean is you have to be a student of sales, right? Salespeople take a job most salespeople take a job because it's a job. They don't think about sales as a science behind sales and behind selling, or they don't think about the subject of sales either, okay? Here's an interesting fact that I had found out the other day. Over 60% of salespeople spend time on tasks they weren't even hired to do. That's a crazy number to me. You got to think about how much money, how much time, how much education, how many late nights, how many long days are you willing to put in order to be a preferred source, in order to be a student of the game? You know, we all know who LeBron James is. We all know who Russell Wilson is. We all know who Mark Cuban is. We all know who all these people are. These people, and obviously their budgets are a lot higher than most people, but these people, regardless of your budget, they are a student of the game. They spend millions and millions of dollars every single year on their bodies, on their brains, on the things that make them the preferred source. They are a student of the game. I can't tell you how many times I've been out coaching and at seminars and meeting with people and I'll ask, when was the last time you guys read a sales book? And I won't get any hands. I'll get a couple hands. When was the last time you guys watched a video? And by the way, YouTube is free, okay? You don't even have to go ahead and have a subscription or anything. You can click on YouTube right now and watch any of those people that I just talked about, okay? There's top 10 across the board on everything you could possibly think of when it comes to sales, when it comes to negotiating, when it comes to closing the deal, when it comes to this, when it comes to that. It's alarming to me how many folks do not invest in themselves and in the industry that they're in. If I am hiring you as a sales professional, that means that you have told me that you are a student of the game, that you know how to close, you know how to prospect, you know how to create value, you know how to create empathy, you know how to do all these things, because those are all things that come with being a student of the game. If you're not in continuous transition on yourself, in making yourself better and spending money on yourself, and I'm not talking about spending $1 million a year on your body like LeBron James or all these other guys. That's not what I'm talking about. But there has to be some skin in the game, man. If there's not, and I've said this forever and ever, what makes you different? What's going to make you different from the person that walked in the door in front of you? Right? Then you walk in and say, hey, I'm Sean Samson. And then you have another guy that's going to walk in the door about an hour and a half after you. So where's that difference? Where's that difference made? That difference is in the money and in the time, in the way that you look at the position that you're in to make yourself the preferred source so that your customer wants to move in your direction and says, wow, this guy really understands what he's talking about. This company really understands the needs of what I'm experiencing as a prospect or an owner, whatever that is. You have to be a student of the game. You have to invest in yourself. The next point I want to talk about, the next point in crushing your sales is you have to have a plan to touch base with your customers and clients just because. And I say just because, I'm not talking about asking them for new business, asking them what the situation is, how come something hasn't closed, do you think you're going to get the PO this week? No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about calling up those customers and clients and just connecting with them just because. Smart salespeople understand that it's the connections that we make once the deal is closed that drives future sales, that drives increased revenue and converts customers into clients. And you guys have heard me talking about the differences between customers and clients for years and years and years now. And I'm not talking about cross-selling either, because we talked about that before. This is different. But by doing this, the cross-selling is going to happen anyways. But I'm talking about reaching out to a customer on a Friday afternoon. You're driving home and you're like, Bob, it's Sean Samson. Hey, man, what's going on? Hey, did your daughter ever come home from college? Did she make it home okay? Is everything cool? Yeah, she got home. She's going to find it. Or I'm talking about, hey, man, I know that, I had an issue too about smoking. I know you've been trying to really hard about quitting smoking. How's everything going with that, man? Are you seeing some daylight with that? That's what I'm talking about. But it has to be empathetic. It has to be genuine. And it just has to be organic and true. You need to reach out to people just because, man. And I'll tell you something. You need to do the things that your competition isn't willing to do, or that your competition would never even think of. And I'm telling you that the majority of people never think about this. They're always worried about that next order and that next order and that next order. It doesn't work that way. Relationships don't work that way. Relationships are based off of, and we all know this, broken record, obviously all based off of trust, right? But giving somebody a call on a Friday afternoon, a Monday morning, whatever, and say, hey, man, I'm just calling to say hey. Just calling to see how things are doing. Did you guys ever make any headway with this? That's when, if you do that, number one, your customer is not going to be expecting you to do that. And the reason why they're not going to be expecting that, because nobody else does that. Nobody else does that ever. Okay? And what you're going to find is that because you're doing that, like I said before, you're going to find that you'll walk in your office on a Tuesday or Wednesday morning and you'll find a PO in your inbox. And you'll find an order on the fax machine, and you'll find because what's going to happen is that by doing that business is going to find more business, is going to find more business. Okay, the objective of that is very simple. It's just to reach out, but it's going to pay dividends for you in a very, very big way because you were genuine about it, and you simply just want to know how people are doing. You need to make time to do that. Call people, touch base with them just because. Not because you want more work, not because you want another order, but just because you want to reach out and just to see how they're doing. And that's gonna serve you very, very well if you can do that.